I don't think you'll believe this plot twist. When the ladies of The View talk about immigration, it's like a rerun of previous episodes because they will quickly lean into predictable talking points. But in a surprise turn of events, Sarah Haynes surprisingly decided to talk common sense, calling the issue exactly how it is. Today, we're covering that in addition to Ana Navarro's outrageous generalization about nannies, which some might say is racist. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
There is a problem at the border, and there's been a problem for decades and decades, and every administration has come through here and no one has fixed it. It ballooned in this last administration, and that's what the people voted on, a referendum on that. Because right now, one thing I've never understood, and I actually think we'll wait to see how this looks, but either we have laws at the border or we don't. We're asking people to get in line to come into this country while incentivizing people not waiting in the line. Like we've seen things where sanctuary cities like California and Illinois, it's kind of like get to the country, like kick the can. If you get to base though, you're gonna be fine. You also have Tim Walz signed into legislation in Minnesota that allowed undocumented immigrants to receive free in-state tuition. All of these are lovely in spirit, but there are people that can't pay for food for their own families. In New York, they were giving the $500 meal cards, and obviously we want to help someone for the humane interest, but there's a lifeboat here.
I have to be honest here, this is the first time I see Sarah making sense. One of the biggest problems with illegal immigration, which doesn't get talked about a lot, is the unfairness it creates in immigration system. Imagine spending years and sometimes decades submitting endless paperwork, interviews, and background checks, all while following the rules, only to see others bypass the process entirely. When people see that crossing the border illegally might give them a better shot at staying in the US, it's no wonder many decide to skip the regular process and take that risk. And to be clear, it's a massive risk that includes dangerous journeys, human traffickers, and exploitation. The current system we have sends the wrong message. Instead of encouraging people to follow legal pathways, it creates a perception that breaking the rules is a viable shortcut, and the numbers prove it. According to BBC, since January 2021, which is the date Biden assumed office, U.S. border officials recorded, quote, more than 10 million encounters with migrants trying to pass the border compared to 2.4 million under Trump's first administration. This isn't a count of individuals who stay in the country, as some of them get returned, but the figure quadrupled in the span of 4 years. But seeing that Sarah was speaking the truth, the other co-hosts weren't going to let it slide and started to throw it in their regular talking points.
Perhaps the problem was then the voters should have said, why didn't we pass the legislation that they had put together? Because it was both sides saying, here's what we have. The Border Patrol agents were saying, this is a good deal for us. And it was stopped. I'm going to repeat that. It was stopped by the man who's just been elected president. He stopped that. So if you want to talk about the problems at the border, when people come to you with solutions, once you turn them into a politics of solutions, it's an issue.
Whoopi's take here is way off base. Sure, Trump was the obvious Republican frontrunner at that point, but trying to pin a failed bill on him, that is a reach in my opinion. I'm sure you still remember the bill she's talking about, which came from the Senate around February of this year as the situation at the border was getting out of hand. House Speaker Mike Johnson was the one who took the bill down, warning that it is, quote, dead on arrival in the House if it passes the Senate. The argument was that the president has all the legal authority he needs to do what needs to be done, including closing the border. But let's be real, only Biden and the Democrats needed that bill to pass. With his poll numbers struggling, a legislative win would have been his golden ticket to rally support ahead of re-election. If anything, I say the buck stops with them, who had 3 years to make something happen, including the first 2 with full control of the Congress. So why wait until the 11th hour, just months before an election? It was a clear attempt by them to score points and say, look it, we just passed a historical piece of legislation. And that is not leadership, that is political theater. If you thought Whoopi's take was bad, wait till you hear what Ana said.
I saw this statistic during the elections, and I think I was in the New York Times, that said that when Trump said things, people didn't think it applied to them. Yeah. So in the last few days, I got a call from a couple of people, friends of mine, people very close to me in Miami, big Trumpers, who are worried now about what's going to happen to their undocumented nannies that help them raise their children. So I told them that I suggested they learn how to clean their kids' ass. And, people who think that what Trump was saying, that the racial slurs, that the threats on immigration, that all of the Department of Education, all those things that Trump has been saying, RFK, was just rhetoric,
But is there-
hyperbole. They're about to find out.
Her story is definitely in the top 10 things that did never happen, just below the View having a conservative guest and letting them finish a single sentence. But is it just me, or was she implying that all nannies are illegal immigrants? That's just racism. These are the same people who claim to champion being inclusive and progressive. She managed to belittle an entire profession and a group of people, and it's not the first time a similar thing has happened, because back in 2015, Kelly Osbourne famously said, quote, "If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who's going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?" These same liberals often pat themselves on the back for being the protectors of minorities, but comments like these show their hypocrisy. It's not inclusivity, it's tokenism wrapped in ignorance. They think they are helping by bringing attention to immigration issues, but in reality, they're just reinforcing stereotypes that do far more harm than good. By the way, I've noticed you still haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? Now, I love the way she acted after saying it, thinking that she gave top-notch commentary, while the only thing she did was reveal the very biases she claims to be fighting against. And at least with the Kelly Osbourne comment, people were very quick to call her out, and she had to issue endless apologies, even to this day. But I've yet to see a single article or a newsflash talking about what Ana said. Obviously, this wouldn't be a video about The View if we didn't include Sunny's horrible takes. So here's what she has to say.
I think that there is this sort of feeling in America that undocumented immigrants are taking their jobs. There's this feeling, like you mentioned, that there are American citizens suffering because other funds are being given to undocumented immigrants. But the fact of the matter is, undocumented immigrants paid approximately $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. And so that is very significant because they pay into things like Social Security, they pay into things like Medicaid, but they don't get the benefits. So the notion somehow that they're taking away from American citizens, they're really giving to this country.
It doesn't mean they're taking away, but people that are simultaneously suffering, the outrage of people that are struggling to put food on the table aren't saying, they're just saying, why aren't we getting some help over here?
I think
not
they
just
don't know
jobs.
that immigrants are paying these taxes.
In part, the reason that you're not getting is because there have been so many cuts. There have been cuts. Forget to immigration. There have been cuts just to people. You pay more taxes now than you paid 20 years ago.
Hold up. Did she just say there have been cuts and then followed up by saying you pay more taxes? What is that supposed to mean? Those are completely separate topics, and you can't just get away with saying flashy terms expecting it to pass by. Also, why is she a Democrat if she's for lower taxes? That is the most counterintuitive thing I've ever heard. Going back to Sunny, while she was giving the numbers, she overlooked one thing Sarah said. It's about the fact that regular Americans are saying if government can do all of these programs helping undocumented immigrants, why can't it help us? It's a valid question, and Sarah was spot on to highlight it. This isn't about being anti-immigrant, it's about fairness. Americans just want to know that their hard-earned tax dollars go forward towards fixing problems here at home before extending to other issues. I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video, please share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.